Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I've been thinking about creating a new collection of paintings for a while now, and I was looking for an interesting object to be the main focus of my collection. And one object kept tickling my brain because I really love this thing. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And also, it's actually a great reference for practicing. That thing was shoes actually. Because first of all, they're beautiful. And then, they have a variety of lines and shapes and interesting color combinations. And, they have more stories to tell than other pieces of clothing. And another thing that's really fascinating to me is how light affects color changes. For example, if you look at the reference image I've chosen for today, you can clearly see the difference in color between the parts in the sunlight and the parts in the shade. This concept can really help us understand colors better. At first we might think that adding a bit of white for highlights and a bit of black for shadows will do the trick, but in reality, sunlight and shade create a completely different color mix that we need to learn to recreate. That's why I started with shoes that are bathed in sunlight, as you can see, where the light completely changes the color of certain parts. I don't really like the framing and some colors in the reference, so I change them. And also, I always adjust the colors during paintings if I feel they'll create a better composition. I think a yellow skirt and maybe a peach background work much better. Okay, let's jump into drawing, but before applying my color, I always lighten my sketch with kneaded eraser, but be careful not to lighten it too much. And for the base color, it's best to use a warm tone, and here I use the diluted burnt sienna color. And remember, the base color helps a lot with choosing the right colors later on. So for me, it's always a yes to base color. Okay, one of the saddest things is when this happens to your brush. And this is my favorite brush. But don't worry, in some next videos, I'll show you how to fix it. Here you can clearly see the yellow tones in the lighted areas and the blue tones in the shadowed areas in the color mix. As I showed you in the reference, the areas in shadow and light require different color combinations. And the shadowed parts have a dark maroon color, if I pronounce it right, which you can get by mixing red and blue. But the lightened area are more of crimson red. Yeah, which you can achieve by mixing some yellow with a tiny bit of blue. And remember, layering colors in acrylic technique is really important. So be careful not to darken the highlighted areas too much and use more diluted colors. Alright, here's something really important about the socks. It's really important not to rely too much on our brain while paintings. I know, I'm gonna explain to you why. For example, when you look at this reference, you might think, okay, this is a girl wearing white socks. But if you look closer, you'll realize that due to lighting and other factors, you rarely find a pure color. What you think is white is actually a very light gray with mix of blue. Yeah, so it's great to sometimes turn off our initial judgments, while paintings. Some colors like this color, cadmium yellow medium hue, have less coverage compared to other colors. Mixing them with other colors can help, but ultimately you'll need to use them in several layers. For me, the most exciting part is adding the highlights, because I think this is where your painting starts to come to life. And for this reference, it's even more fun because the highlights have different color mixes and I can use just one color for all of them. Here I felt the area where the sunlight hits the ground could be a bit brighter, so I reduced the amount of blue in the previous color mix and added more yellow and white. I think the result turned out much better. Alright, let's get to the exciting part of removing the tape. As you can see, in some areas, the paint has spitted under the tape. But don't worry, I'll show you how to fix that later. To clean up, try to match the color of your paper as closely as possible and diluted it a bit, but not too much. It shouldn't be that wet. And my paper, I think, has a very slight yellow tone. And I think this color is completely matched, and I can clean up the entire frame with it. Okay, now it's time. Let's go to the final result.